This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately.
How's it going? Yay!
Okay, I turned it off. I turned it off that time. That was weird. Yeah, I will admit that was weird yesterday when I listened to the show. At the very beginning, it sounded like I had auto-tuned the news, but that was because I'm working with this new like stream deck thing combined with this thing called voice mod. So yeah. So anyways, for those of you, earlier today I played the sort of the rough cut on just for the members in the members only portion of the in the comment section of YouTube. You can post just for members, so I did a members only. They got to see this interview earlier. So there you go. So if you're not a member, join the channel and you'll get to see stuff like that occasionally as well. So today I interviewed Heather and John Escalante. Now I had Escalera in the title yesterday, but that's because some articles actually spelled it that way and it was wrong. I was thinking, how did I get that? And I thought I just sort of made a gaffe, but in reality that's what the article said. And Heather even said that she tried to get them that she had to call them to fix them, and some of them published it even after they were told what the correct spelling was. Alright, just a second. Trying to get the screen set up right. There we go. Alright. So how's everybody doing? Oh, cool, Moen. A lot of people don't like my personality, so, you know, if I get a little bit, oh, that's a bunch of crap, you know, to somebody, it doesn't mean I hate my subs. It just means that whatever you just said wasn't something I thought was a very, you know, like it was a... I'm not one to... I don't like the crazy, wild speculation on this channel. I like to stick with the sort of the rational approach where you're sort of speculating. And yes, everybody speculates, right? It's who speculates reasonably based on the information. That's what we do. There's other channels that say, I'm not speculating at all. What I'm doing, I'm saying what I'm telling you here is the chances are it could, well, no, that's speculating now, right? You can't say, well, the chances are, and then you're not speculating, because that's exactly what speculating is. It's just you're going to be more accurate if you speculate on the facts of a case and then stay within a reasonable range in there, and you might eventually land on something that's going to be rational. Hopefully that made sense. I know some people just can't stand that. They don't like it. They like to just be able to immediately jump into organ harvesting. Hey, do you think maybe this was organ harvesting? I mean, I heard there's a ring right down the road and they've got this well, I don't know, okay? All right. Yeah, it's speculation, reasonable speculation based on facts, okay? A lot of people don't do that. All right, so I'm going to play the interview now. I might stop it from time to time, and if you're one of those people that cry when somebody does that, you might as well just leave right now, because I will probably stop it every once in a while, okay? And you'll never get to have another version of it, okay? Because I'm not putting out its own version. It's just going to be, this is the show that it's in. Now, if you want to join the channel, you can watch one that I didn't interrupt as much, but I might on this one, okay? And the reason I'm saying what I'm saying right now is because of experience. The constant emailing me, telling me how to do my show, how to do this is what you should have said here. I just don't care, okay? Trust me when I tell you that. Yeah, you had a ribeye, huh? All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and start it now. I'm just using Adobe Premiere to play it. And I just recorded, this is what the screen that I recorded is how a show would have been. Okay, here we go. I guess what I could do is get that middle and put my miniature head on here. So this is me live down in the corner, because this is today, all right? So this is James Escalante right down here. And then this is Heather and John. It's probably self-explanatory just looking at the titles. But invariably you'll have some clown say, well, who's who? Okay, so unfortunately, and now some will just type it in like Zozo, just to be a smart ass. You know how she does it. Come on, everybody. All right, here we go. So this is just right. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot here. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, that's way at the end. So it's right here. Okay. So at first it was just Heather on there, and then John was getting home from work, but he wasn't quite there yet. They're on the East Coast. Here we go.
So, I'm going to be honest. A lot of the information that we have, it's hearsay.
Oh, and by the way, if you send in a super chat, it's not going to make a sound and go over it, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't want to disrupt the show. It won't disrupt it.
My husband and I live on the complete opposite side of the country, so we're not out there. And, we don't talk to James every day or anything. So, but the story that we got was from a woman named Sherry Slover. She was, from what we understand, James's girlfriend at the time that he went missing. And her story that she gave us when we first spoke to her over the phone was that on the morning of June 25th, her friend, who goes by the name Dee, her real name is Dashia Waters, had gotten stuck out in the desert near the intersection of Highway 62 and Shelton Road in Wonder Valley. And she sent James out on her mountain bike to go help Dee. My father-in-law did not have a license, so he did not drive a vehicle. I know that you had kind of made mention of that in your previous video. Why would he go out on a bike? He usually went everywhere on a bike, or he got a ride.
Well, somebody looked him. I mean, I don't know why people do it, but they looked him up and he didn't have a driver's license because he had some kind of a criminal past, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And so, he did travel a lot by bicycle, so that's not abnormal at all for him. And so he left to go help his girlfriend's friend. And he got to the intersection of Highway 62 and Shelton, called Sherry, said he couldn't find Dee, and Sherry called Dee on three-way, asked her to honk her horn so James could find her. She claims that she heard the horn honking in the background of the call. James said, I got it, hung up. And literally vanished into thin air. Like, he never got to D. He has not been seen or heard from anybody since. And so, do we have any proof that any of that is a?
Well, let me go back just a little bit. I wanted to check something here.
She claims that she heard the horn honking in the background of the call. James said, "I got it," hung up. 62 in Shelton called Sherry, said he couldn't find D, and Sherry called D on.
Yeah, so what's weird is I was actually communicating with Sherry today on messaging. So I have this whole document put together. So later I'll read it. Okay? I'll read it up. I'll read what she wrote. I told her I was going to, and she was okay with it. So what's interesting though is she said that it was 1:30. It was 1:30 in the afternoon when James called. What the hell is her name again? Oh, jeez, man, I can't remember all of a sudden. What is it? Sherry, right? Yeah, Sherry. So he called Sherry and said, "Hey, I can't find D," and then they had the horn honking incident. Well, the thing is but she also said he left the house at 9 in the morning. Yeah, I got it, Jessica. Thanks. Yeah, so he left the house at 9 in the morning, but at 1:30 he makes it to that intersection, which is only 3.5 miles away. That's absolutely crazy. Right. Well, I'm not saying thank you, Jessica. I had already figured it out. Thanks.
Three-way asked her to honk her horn so James could find her. She claims that she heard the horn honking in the background of the call. James said, "I got it," hung up, and literally vanished into thin air. Like, he never got to D. He has not been seen or heard from anybody since. And so, do we have any proof that any of that is the truth? No, we don't.
Right.
That is the story that we've been given. That is the story that the detectives have been, or the detective working his missing persons case has been given as well. We were then told that later that afternoon, probably around 2:30ish p.m., that a fellow by the name of Gary, we don't know his last name, don't even know if he exists because we don't have a last name to go off of, and a guy who goes by the name Tank, his actual name is Tyler Turner, went out to get D, and they, of course, would have driven the same path that I would assume James would have taken, because they were coming. I know at least Tank was coming from the same residence, and nobody saw James, and nobody's seen him since.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really even knows. Have you talked to D yourself?
The detective has, and we have talked to people who confirm that she is a real person. My husband and I have.
Yeah, I think you could hear a horn out there a half mile away. It'd be easy.
We went out to California for a couple of days last month, and we actually met Sherry and Tank in person, so we do know that they exist. Don't know who Gary is.
I'm Gary, right? So Why didn't she just? Everybody calls me Gary, so yeah. I mean, I guess it would depend if the wind's blowing right into where the car is. If it's heading in that direction, it might be hard to actually hear the horn. But it just seems like it's not. It's all the grasses, the little bushes are kind of low, the weeds, I guess. You can see over there. It just feels like you could be it. I don't know. I mean, you go out there and test it, somebody. I'm not there to be able to test it. But you'd have to drive your car, put it right where hers was, and then have somebody stand at that intersection and play it. Why didn't Sherry just drive him down there to the intersection? Something like that. I mean, why, you got this person stranded. it's a little bit odd that she would just go, "Hey, here's my bike," you know, like. Did she not have a car or anything? I mean, does she have a license?
I don't know if she has a license, to be honest with you. I know that there are vehicles in her possession. Now, whether or not they're hers, I have no idea. I know that there are vehicles that they have. The place that James and Sherry were living off of, off of Shelton Road, well, technically Kern Road, but once you cross that intersection right there at Amboy Road, it's Shelton Road. Yeah. So I still say it's Shelton Road. I mean, it's the same freaking road regardless.
So this is where they lived right here, right?
Correct. But they actually did not live in that house. So there was a man named Dennis that lived in that home that had a lot of health issues that Sherry was supposedly taking care of. He actually passed away over the summer. And Sherry and James both had basically like little campers in the backyard along that road that kind of leads behind the house. Yeah, that one.
Indian Road.
So they had campers set up next to that road, and they were staying in those. So they weren't living in that house. They were living behind it because Sherry was, from what we understand, taking care of the gentleman that lived in the home at the time.
What did that person die of? You don't know?
Sure don't.
Okay. So they were right over. They were staying back here in campers, and what was James like? What would he? Was he pretty good at fixing things? Handyman type?
Very handy, yes. Mm-hmm.
Could he fix a car? Is that why he was sent out there? I mean, supposedly.
We weren't given any details as to why he was the one sent out there. But I do know he is very handy, so it wouldn't surprise me if this is even a true story. It wouldn't surprise me if he was sent out there because he's handy.
Okay, what time was that again where he started going?
She said she sent him out there. Well, the first time we spoke with her, she said she sent him out there around 8:30, that he left around 8:30 that morning.
Okay. So it's weird that, I mean, what was this D doing? Just sitting there for 6 hours, until somebody came and, quote, rescued her?
Yeah, so that's the story, yeah. Story goes that she sat out there so long that by the time Gary and Tank got her to Sherry's place, that she actually was like having some kind of heat stroke. I don't know how.
Well, didn't Dee call Sherry back like 10 minutes later and say, "Hey, I thought you said James was going to be here." Did that happen? No clue.
That's the vague story that I gave you is literally the vague story we're getting.
Well, don't the detectives give you a little bit more detail about that?
I know that they have spoken with Sherry, Tank, and Dee, but I don't know all of the ins and outs of those conversations just yet. I think they're investigating some of those items that they've been given.
Okay, now this location that you have for you GPS location where Dee's car was, is that an absolute fact that it was right there, or is it just like, I mean, how did you get those coordinates?
So when my husband and I went out to California last month for a few days, we did meet up with Sherry. We happened to meet Tank at the same time. Him and Sherry were together. I think my husband just pulled up, by the way. But we met them out at the fire station in Wonder Valley because we had asked Sherry to please take us to James's trailer. We were trying to get some of his personal belongings that may contain his DNA to give to the coroner's office in regards to those remains that were found on August 8th out there. So that we can get a DNA test done to see if those remains are in fact my father-in-law's.
It's like 3.5 miles.
When we met them at the fire station, Tank got out, introduced himself, got back in the truck, left, and went back to their new place because they actually have moved from that location since James went missing, Tank and Dee. And or I'm sorry, Tank and Sherry.
So,
And
so Tank was living there too. Tank and Sherry were living,
Yes.
and also James in that little area, right? All three of them.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and
It is.
so when we met them there, Tank went ahead and left Sherry with my husband and I, and he left and went back to their new place. That's not actually that far from that same area right there, by the way. And Sherry actually got in mine and my husband's rental car with us, took us out to that location there that you have pinned, let us look through James's stuff, and get what we needed to take to the coroner's office. And then she said, if you'll ride up this way, I'll show you where James was when he called me. So we go up to the intersection right there of 62 and Shelton, and we were sitting at that stop sign right there, facing that way, just like you've got the screen right there. And she was saying, well, James was right here when he called me, and you see that little brown shack way over there in the distance? And we're like, yeah. She's like, well, D was stuck right behind that shack.
I think that's it, right? Nah, maybe. I think it's that one. Let's see. Does that make sense? No, it's over here. But it's this brown.
And it was one of those things where there's not a lot, because it's the desert, there's not a lot of, like where I'm at in South Carolina, if you were that distance from something, you probably wouldn't be able to see each other, because there's going to be trees and houses and all of these barriers, natural and man-made barriers in between those two places. But I will say, you might not be able to say, oh, that's James at the corner right there, but you could see that there was somebody there from those two places.
So you think you could stand there? It seems like there's enough bushes and whatnot to...
bushes.
Well, these little shrubs, whatever you want to call these things.
Yeah. From the car, and we were in a little, Toyota Corolla or some small car. I don't remember what our rental car was. It was something small, or a Honda Civic or something. And we could clearly see the shack from where we were sitting.
Okay.
And if there had been a car behind it, I feel like unless it was parked at a really weird angle, I would have been able to see it from there.
Do you think this is the shack right there? I mean, there's one here, but that's not the one that they were at because it's too close.
No, it's a little further out in the distance than that. I used Google Earth, and I couldn't really see it well from Google Earth.
Yeah.
But sitting there in person,
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see that shack from where we were sitting.
Okay. So, but then you went out there and you got GPS coordinates?
I pinned them. I just basically kind of did
Oh,
what
I
you're
see.
doing.
I see. You didn't have to drive out there. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you put a pin in.
I wasn't about to ride up in there in a little Honda car, because I wasn't wanting to be the next one stuck in the desert.
Well, what was the car doing right here, though? I mean, what a weird place to. I mean, it's not even a road or.
That either.
Is this a shack that somebody lives in, or?
It looked abandoned from what I could tell, but I don't know that for sure. Yeah.
Interesting. There's even a utility wire, it looks like, that the shadow of it leading to it, the pole.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I haven't been able to make a whole lot of sense of any of this.
Well, yeah, because it sort of just doesn't. The whole story, it just, it's a 3.5 mile bike ride. Hey, why don't you take a bike when you could just drive down there together? Heck,
Right.
drive over to here or something. Maybe even go up one of these roads.
For you a little bit. The bike that James was on, kind of in the area where your mouse looks like it's at,
Mm-hmm.
come up closer towards the mountains, head towards the mountains.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can scan in on that part of Shelton Road, the very last house, nope, that is not it. That one.
Okay, this one right here. Okay.
Yep. So right in that vicinity, sort of across the street from that house, on the side of the road is where the bike James was on was found, without a seat.
Okay, so the bike
But
somewhere
it was
around
actually closer to the road than your pin.
Oh, right next to the road. So how come it was found so much later?
I don't know that it was close enough to the remains for it to look obvious. I mean, when we were driving down that road, because we actually turned around in that driveway not knowing, but they got the bike the day before we were there.
But what's weird is, didn't somebody notice the bike? I mean, I know this isn't a lot of people don't live here.
No, because past that house right there, there's nothing.
Okay.
But mountains and desert, like there's nothing out there. So unless you're going like 4-wheeling, hunting, rock climbing, something like that, hiking, whatever, there's really no reason to go past that house. Okay. So there's not. I would say that's probably an incredibly low traffic area.
And you're saying human remains were found more up near the mountains, not in the mountains, but like closer up in
I don't know the exact location, but I know it was closer to those mountains because I know earlier you had pinned it closer to the intersection, and it was not right at that intersection.
Yeah, I just had general information at the time. You know, it was just near the.
I'm sorry. My husband actually just is getting ready to do this as well.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, John. How's it going? Sorry you're having to go through all this. It's always it's a total nightmare for family members when they're looking for a missing person.
Yeah, it's definitely
a loved one.
Different experience.
So I guess we've gone through, you know, the day, how they were at home. I guess let's see, James and Sherry were at the place where they're staying, and then like about 8:30 or 9 in the morning. Is that what you said?
About 8:30 is what she told us originally.
They're claiming. All we can say is they're claiming that, you know, Dee's car broke down, and that they were that Sherry sent James to that intersection because apparently that's where Dee said, hey, it's near there. So when James got there, he couldn't find her, so then he called Sherry, and then Sherry did a 3-way phone call, told Dee to honk. They claimed that they could hear the honk, and then James said, I got it. And then he just disappeared off the face of the earth. Right?
Yeah. That's pretty much as we've been able to really discern in anything. And like I said, we can't prove that story at this time. That's just the only story we have to go off of. I did confirm with a friend of James's out in the desert that they did actually see him a few days prior to the 25th. So we at least know that that's a pretty close, pretty accurate date. But even that, I mean, we can't be certain of.
I saw one of the comments on the show from last night that somebody said that they saw him on the 10th. I don't know if that's really relevant at this point, but
and that was
Amboy. Is there another? What was the intersection? So here's that road that they were talking about.
I can't remember the other road, but yeah, it was off of Amboy. I do remember that, and they did reach out to me on Facebook to let me know that.
And that was on the 10th, they said, but he went missing on the 25th, though, right?
Yeah, we know it was in the June 20 something range is what we've been able to discern. We do know that someone else saw him a few days prior to the 25th. So we know that date's pretty close, at least, for sure.
That I guess in reality there's no way of knowing the exact date. I mean, you can go by what they're saying, but if somehow those people are involved, then it's really no way of knowing for sure.
Correct. Yeah. And the police do have his cell phone in their possession. It's my understanding that cell phone was also in the vicinity of those remains, as well as his bike. So, of course, they have a warrant out to try to get information from the phone company, and they have a second warrant out to do an IT search, have their IT department do a search of the phone itself. But of course, all of that takes time. So we just know it's his phone. Yeah. But we don't. And we know it's found destroyed.
Yeah, I wish you had more information from the police on the circumstances of, when you don't know at this point if those remains are James. You're waiting for that. Yes. You sent in some DNA, I guess.
Yes.
I hope it's not.
Thank you.
It's just kind of it's. Here's the thing: is I've been following the Erika LLoyd case too, and then you guys probably have heard of that as well. You told me you did, and it just feels like there's no way they're not related somehow. Somehow,
It's funny that you say that, and I think I had mentioned this too when we were messaging each other yesterday when you had asked me about Erika LLoyd's case. So I was aware that Erika LLoyd had gone missing out there, and of course I found that out after James went missing, and I was like, wow, that's really close timing. Wonder if they're at all related. And I had actually reached out via Facebook to Erika's family and friends or whatever through the Facebook page that they have going for her, and spoke back and forth with them for a little bit. And this was probably at least a month ago or more. We weren't able at that time to make any connection between James and Erika at all. But I kept following her story. I just had a gut feeling. I'm like, it's just really strange. There's too many things going on in this desert right now for them not to somehow be connected. So I kept following her story as well. And so this past Friday, so 3 days ago, I got up, and one of the first things that I saw that morning on Facebook on her page was that they had done a story on Erika the night before, and some new information had been released, and that the names James and Christian had come up in Erika's case, and I guess in two different situations within her case. So the first one being that I guess she had been out in the 29 Palms Joshua Tree area, had went back home, showered, did a few things, turned around and kind of came right back out to the desert. And when she was getting ready to leave, she told her roommate that James and Christian were holding her campsite. And then I guess when they found her campsite and, they were able to identify that the belongings at that campsite were hers, one of the things that was there was some kind of journal. And in it, she had written, James and Christian weren't here when I got here.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually, the police have talked to the roommates again, because that's pretty interesting. I mean, maybe it sounded like that conversation was that even the roommate knew who James and Christian were. Oh, and thank you, Tracy, Berserker, Cairo, and Juju Positive up there. And the thing is, everybody, people contribute to my channel. It supports my channel, but at the end of the month, we donate money. There's a lot of people watching that are new. I donate a ton of money to crime-related charities, and so far this year, we've donated $15,500 to charities. And if you can find another true crime YouTuber anywhere near that, let me know. But we've donated, I think, $5,000 to Texas EquiSearch, a whole bunch of different charities out there, added a couple new ones, and so that's what we do. All right, that's kind of the mission of our goal is to get to 20,000 this year. All right, so when you see people donating up there, it's we're doing a lot of good with it. All right, okay, great.
So immediately,
thanks, Lee D and Tracy.
That set off my gut instincts again, and I just started. And I knew it was because I'm on the East Coast. I knew that obviously, given the time zone difference, I probably wouldn't hear back right away. But I started immediately reaching back out to Erika LLoyd's people, who I had spoken to before, to let them know, hey, I really think we need to talk again.
Yeah. Hey, thank you very much, Angie Hart. Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, which one of these campgrounds? See, I've gotten this one was mentioned once. This, yeah. And then there was also one over here, the Jumbo Rocks campground. Do you know?
From the articles I've read, it said that the first time that her vehicle was tagged by the park rangers, I guess it was, or something, that it was in the Indian Cove campground area, which is right next to the Jumbo Rocks.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Indian Cove campground.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this one over here then. Yeah, see, that's what's strange about it. So that's what was confusing. See, Jumbo Rocks campground's over here, but Indian Cove campground's over here. So to me, that's not real.
front end behind all of that. So
Oh, there's a third place? What's
Yeah.
what's that place?
Joshua Tree National Park.
Oh, okay. I think, well, that has, I think, listed sort of in that same area as the Indian
Yeah.
Cove
They're all
campground.
kind of
Yeah.
on top of each other, basically. But it was my understanding that the first time her car was spotted, so the day before that was actually recovered, that it was in the Indian Cove campground.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Look how simple that is. I mean, this is me live back here. I mean, so look at, let's say this is where you're at. The car pulls out, drives this way, and then just takes a right on 29 Palms, and then eventually you'll end up right there. Real simple, only 2 different roads.
That was just what I read in the article.
Thanks, Fiber Sleuth. Yeah, and all
But
these
then-
places are so close, you know.
Over off of 62 in Shelton. And I think they got footage of the car leaving the park, but couldn't see the driver. So no way to know if it was Erika or not.
I mean, James is a pretty common name. That's one thing.
It is.
But given the situation, it seems, you know, I would weight it more likely that it's the same James. Although it's not, you know, definitely, I wouldn't say something like 100% or 99. It's like 52%. You know, it's like, it's almost right in the middle. Because James is a really common name.
Right.
I'm sorry, I keep looking over here because that's the screen, but if I look over here, it looks like I'm looking at you.
Oh,
So basically I have my camera set up where when I'm looking at the screen, I'm telling you guys live here. So a lot of times when I'm looking at the screen that they're actually on, I'm looking completely away from them. Right? Because the way it's set up in here. So it's sort of awkward sometimes. So eventually I started looking at my other screen over here.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, it's pretty weird because I have it split incorrectly. Let's see. So yeah, there's a journal that says that I think James and Christian were supposed to meet him there, or actually hold the campground, meet her there, right? So
Yeah.
Well, James is like at that intersection is only somebody's asking how far away was. It's just right there. Look. Now this one here isn't right. That's where the phone call's made. So Erika's car is just right there. It's nothing. You know. So basically James disappeared from this spot, and it's a quarter of a mile on the same road and everything. Except that later on his bike and cell phone were found in this general area, and then we don't know, but there was male human remains found somewhere else up on that same road, but before the mountains. Okay. So there you go. I
They
guess
were
they were,
supposed to be building her campsite for her when she went home and came back,
yeah.
is the way it made it sound. And then, but when she got back, she wrote in her journal that they weren't there when she got there.
So is there anything that a reason James might be somebody that would do that? Is he? Yeah, his bike was just missing the seat. That's it. Other than that, it was pretty decent shape. You know, part of some. I mean, it's just odd that somehow she would be communicating. If it is the same James, like somehow he's somebody that would be holding a site for her. Can you guys figure out a way that would happen?
We aren't able to figure out much, to be honest, at this time. We do know that there are several Christians that James knew. We're trying to piece that together with the help.
And by Christians, they mean there's a person named Christian in the story, okay? Not, hey, do you know any Christians? Oh, yeah, I know a couple of them, 3 Muslims and a couple Jewish people.
Of friends and family that we have out in the desert, as well as the detective. I've given them the information that I have as well. But we don't have a solid lead on that right now. But as far as, you know, how him and Erika may have known each other or why he would be holding her campsite, I really have no idea. I don't even know, especially given where she's from, how they would have even met each other, to be honest, unless it was somehow online or something. But I don't even think James was a big online person, to be honest.
But when she got to the campground, they weren't there, but somehow her site was still available, it looks like, because she set up a camp, maybe. I don't know.
I'm wondering if, and that's the thing, and I don't know the answer to this. I do know that there are sites that you can pay for out there, but I think a lot of people just go out there and throw up a tent somewhere. I don't know that they necessarily reserve a spot. So I don't know which of those she did.
Yeah, and then it's interesting too, because in the articles about her, her car was vandalized and broken into at the park.
Yeah.
And then, but she wasn't anywhere around when the rangers or the police saw that originally. Then the next day they came by again and the car is gone. And
yes.
But they never had seen her any of these times. But apparently they say they have information that makes it seem like she did drive out of the park, so maybe she's on camera driving out of the park. But the car was just absolutely mangled. I mean, the windshield was bashed in.
It was pretty demolished, yeah. I did see when the news footage was coming out about her vehicle being found, I did see.
Yeah, and then there was some footage on the news where it showed a car on the back of but that wasn't the same car because it was white.
I'm wondering the same thing you had mentioned, if it was maybe two cars on the back, because the one on the back that I was looking at was clearly white, but hers was black, so I couldn't tell either from the angle.
I think it's possible. I think it's more likely though they just called the same tow truck driver. He drove out there. He already had a car on there, and he said, "Okay, it was right." He drove down there. Hey, this is where it was, and then somebody just took a photo of that location. Because why would there have been a cameraman out there the day they towed away her car? It wasn't even a story or anything. She wasn't even reported missing at that point.
Yeah, it's my understanding she wasn't reported missing until the day after they got her car, so they wouldn't have known when they went to get it.
Right, but he was really specific, saying it was going in this direction. So that's interesting because, let's say, let's just say, here's one thing, a theory that I thought maybe is possible. What if somehow they did have connection and she was going to bring the car here to get it sort of fixed up because it was just mangled? I don't know. And then somehow it ends up coming back this way. Maybe there was somebody else at this house with Sherry, Tank, and something weird happened. I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of the weird scenario is why was her car facing, heading back to 62 here, right?
Version?
I mean, I guess if you turn this way and then you turned around maybe, but her car was messed up. I mean, you could turn around right where the car, this is where the news states it was. It's next to the 4th telephone pole. Uh-oh.
I have a theory also.
Okay.
But I mean, just a theory, because I knew that her car was found near that intersection, but until I watched your video this morning, I didn't know the give or take location on that road. Just throwing this out there, what if whatever went down with Erika and or her car, well, definitely her car, happened at Joshua Tree National Park, and whoever did it went back to get it and bring it out. Well, they'd have to drive it somewhere close to where they reside or stay or what have you. It would be somewhat within walking distance. Yeah. And that's a really good spot to turn your car around to throw a diversion away from where you're going.
Yeah, but it's also a thing. I mean, we talk about everything that we were just saying last night is maybe something happened to her at Joshua Tree because, her car is mangled up at that point. And then they took the car and moved it to this area. But then if you lived in this area, why would you want to put a beacon out of where you live? Like, park a car and say, hey, everybody, this is the missing, why not park it 6 miles down the road and then just walk back or something like that?
A lot of drug users in that general area.
Yeah.
They don't always think so clearly.
Yeah. We can all, a lot of times we say, why this, why that. A lot of times people just don't do stuff that's logical. That's why they get caught.
Or if you had a really unreliable vehicle, you'd have to get back home somehow.
Well, do you think it's possible? Well, everything's possible. Okay. I always hate that phrase. Is it possible? Yeah. Aliens could have came down, right? It's just people there's a lot of things that's possible.
I don't count much these days.
But let's see. Do you think that? Let's see.
I've thought a lot of things since James went missing. Of course, all of them are just like you're doing, theorizing what could have happened. You know, I mean, obviously, we're hoping that these remains are not James's, but it's not. I mean, the evidence isn't looking so good right now.
Right. If it was female, you would immediately think maybe it was.
Well, the way the article was written, the August 11th article that I saw was written, I assumed it was female at first because of the way it was written, because it referenced Erika LLoyd. And I figure, you know, any expert in skeletal remains can tell, from my understanding, can tell from the pubic bone area almost immediately if it's male or female remains. And the fact that they referenced Erika LLoyd in their article made me just assume that it was Erika or some female. So I didn't even pay any more attention to them at first until it came back out that they were male remains. At which point, then they obviously piqued my interest a bit more, given the fact that by then James had already, you know, we already knew James was missing. So
yeah. So like 10 or 9 days after Erika goes missing, James goes missing in the exact spot where her car was, basically. I mean, right here.
So the story,
yeah.
We were later told by Sherry Slover that there was rumors that a hit and run occurred in that same area of that intersection involving a bike, but there's been no record been able to be found regarding that. And she claims that the last time she talked to James, of course, a while after the first story she gave us, was that somewhere between 1:05 and 1:15 p.m. was around the time that this supposed hit and run happened around that intersection. But knowing James, I can't imagine that it would take him 4 or 5 hours to ride his bike from that house to that intersection. And that they didn't go get D until about 2:30.
Sounds like there's who came up with that story? The hit and run. Where did you hear that one?
Sherry Slover.
Oh wow, jeez, how convenient. That's amazing. Yeah, there was a hit and run there too. Okay, but what time did they say that was? I think you were just talking about that.
Somewhere between 1:05 and 1:15 p.m.
Right, so 4 hours after James heard the honk and said, "Oh, got it." There's this car wreck thing, but he never made it over to D's car.
Right.
There's a hit and run. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. See, what's interesting is later today I was messaging with Sherry, and she said that the phone call from that intersection was at 1:30. So now that sort of lined up with the time of the hit and run. You know, the quote hit and run. Okay. So that's what's kind of weird is that, you know, that was apparently around 1:30. I don't know. Yeah, this is just getting crazy. Do you think
a hit and run is nowhere in any? It's not on any of the local pages, like social media pages. It's not on record with the police. There's no record of it anywhere. Nobody can find anything on it.
Yeah. So what do you think, John? What do you think's going on here?
I don't know. I haven't been able to really process or make out too much of it. She's kind of been at the forefront of, you know, fearing all of this head on and doing all that. I don't know. I have a lot of, like you said, theories, conspiracy theories, however you want to put that on. Right. What could have happened and everything like that. I think my biggest focus is just figuring out whether or not this is him, and then from there, that's kind of where.
Right. Yep.
I need to start understanding the why.
Yeah. So at this point, he just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth, unless that is him that they found. Right. Let's see.
Unfortunately, you know, it was skeletal remains, so we have no way to use fingerprints to ID.
Right. So it's just
whether
DNA.
or not. We've not been able to find any dental records on him, so that would be the next fastest identification method. So we're down to having DNA be the method to determine whether or not these remains belong to James or not. And given the process of that DNA comparison, as well as the backup in the labs, we're talking months. We were told 1 to 3 months, give or take.
Yeah, you guys are messing around with Richard Watts. He's Richard Watts is fine. The only thing is wrong with him is his last name. Okay. Other than that, he's just fine.
Before we'll have an answer, and those DNA samples were sent off in September, so we're looking at possibly not even knowing anything until December.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll use molars or inside the bone, hair. If it, well, they can do hair, but it's always better to have it's fresh enough where they're probably able to extract DNA easily. We did a case a while back where they found a skeleton that was 5 years old. Then they extracted a molar and sent it off to the Netherlands, and then they extract DNA. I'm not sure why we don't have it over here. I mean, you'd think with all the technology we'd have a lab that could actually do that.
You think so, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I think, at this point, and trying to be support for my husband, and, not that I didn't love and care about my father-in-law, but I think I'm, not quite as close to the situation as.
Yeah, let's not use Morpheus in this case at all for any kind of comparisons. Aren't all of you getting sick of that only being covered on some channels over and over again? That's what I thought.
He is, obviously. So for me, I've been trying to get him the answers that he needs. He needs to know if this is his dad or not. If so, what the hell? Excuse me. What happened out there? Sorry.
Oh my God, my video is now taken off of YouTube. No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you blame me, but what happened out there? Did he drop dead of a heat stroke? Did he? Was it a hit and run that never got reported? Was it foul play? And if so, who's involved? And if it's not him, then where is he?
See, what I thought was interesting too is that the bike's found on Shelton as if he didn't move at all after he said, got it. I mean, just a little bit, but up the wrong way.
It was a little ways off.
Yeah, I mean, but up the same road Shelton, but her car was way over, in the other opposite direction. Hold on, I'm backwards.
Wasn't heading in the direction of where she was supposedly broken down.
Yeah, so the bike's up here, about a quarter, probably almost a half mile in that direction. But she's way over here, so you wouldn't have gone up this way.
No.
And
my father-in-law knew that desert like the back of his hand.
Okay.
So none of it makes sense.
Now you were saying you were saying he biked because he had the bike, he didn't have a license. Is there anything you could tell us about his past, that criminal past, I guess, that you could share that could shed light on? Or is there anything closely related to anything that could possibly be going on here?
I mean, he was heavy into things that you shouldn't be. He did have a past record on different things. As far as like the license is concerned, I know that I think he was trying to get his license back the last time I spoke to him. I don't know exactly what it was. I know he needed to get an SR22, I believe is what it's called, in order to retain his license back, and which he was in the process of doing. But yeah, he definitely didn't run with the best of the crowd, though. Not to go into a bunch of detail on it, but he didn't do a lot of things that normal people do, that's for sure.
Okay. So it's interesting, though. I mean, they're out here. Sherry has a vehicle. Why doesn't she just drive? And we were talking about this before you showed up. drive him to this area and maybe even drive over to here, and then they can just quickly get to the car. Instead, he's riding her bike to here. Do you think that it's... Here's the thing. See, the thing is, they couldn't see what I did. The same thing I've done to you guys before. They can't even see my screen at that point. Normally I had it open, but I think they kind of know what I'm saying because they've seen it 1,000 times. The thing that I was going to ask a minute ago, that he witnessed something. If that is him that they've found, do you think it's possible maybe that he witnessed something somebody else didn't want him to witness? Just given the fact that, go ahead.
Yeah, I would think that's an absolute possibility. That's something that me and Heather talked about originally. I mean, he's pretty stout man. Someone, like a tank. Like I don't really just foresee where everything was at. That he just went and died in the desert.
Yeah, he looked really fit in those pictures that I was looking at.
Yeah, and considering the non-license, even when he did have his license, that man rode a mountain bike everywhere. Like that's just not his MO to just go off and.
Okay, so he did ride a bike often. Was that so? The bike that he was riding though, was that wasn't his bike?
No, he did have multiple bikes, but the one he was on that day was Sherry Clover's bike.
But why would that be? I mean, if he had his own bike, right? Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. I did
a lot of weirdness.
I did locate some of his bikes, and I don't know, for whatever reason, we're not in the vicinity of what they call Wonder Valley.
So it kind of gets explained here a little bit, where it made sense a little bit more why he was using her bike.
They were out in actually 29 Palms, which is, if you didn't know, is not too far from where all of it is taking place.
Yeah, we did locate 4 or 5 of his bikes, and they were at a friend's house of his in 29 Palms. So I don't know if he just never had taken any of his bikes out there.
Yeah, I mean, there is no evidence in reality that he was ever on a bike. Okay, we said that yesterday on the show. We don't know. Okay. All it is that there was a bike found here, and then human remains up here, but we don't even know if those are James's human remains. So that's just the reality. We're trusting, or at least listening to what people are saying, not maybe necessarily trusting what they're saying, but listening to it.
We don't know, but the bike he was on was Sherry Slover's bike.
Okay, so he didn't have. That makes a little bit more sense, I guess, because that would mean that he's over here in his trailer, but he didn't have one of his bikes. She happened to have one of his bikes, and then so maybe they didn't have an actual car here, so that would make it like maybe you don't want to pull your trailer out just to drive 3 miles down a road. Instead, she had a bike, and then he took the bike down to the intersection. I mean, he made it all the way to here, right?
I know that they have a pickup truck. That's what Sherry and Tank showed up in when they met my husband and I, but it didn't look to be in the best of shape, to be honest with you. And I think they have a van as well. So why a vehicle wasn't used to go get her, I could not even begin to tell you.
Yeah, the suspicious parts are, he makes it here. They could do the 3-way phone call. 2 of them claim that there was a honk. But then you would think D, after that, after like 10 minutes later, would say, hey, I thought he said he was on his way back to Sherry. Like, she would be contacting him constantly. Instead, 6 hours later, somebody comes and picks her up there.
Right?
Yeah. That's been the suspicious thing that, in my mind, and I don't understand how that happens at all. Like, how, if you're right there, I know it seems like a good distance, but I mean, in desert.
That's funny because I already said that to him before you came in.
In a half mile, that's not that's not really much of anything. And then if you already knew someone was coming out to pick you up and you had made other arrangements, then why would you not pick that person up that was coming out to help you?
Yeah, but it's also 6 hours later. You'd think she'd just be constantly, hey, you know, where's James? Where's James?
Yeah.
Calling Sherry up over and over again.
You would think. And what's even more interesting to me, I'm going to use the word interesting.
Well, I have the numbers of 2 of these people that I'm going to try to call. So I'm not going to say which one. You got too many trolls on the internet.
Is when John and I went out to that area last month. It was at that time that Sherry said, oh, I totally forgot. Like, I forgot that there was a mention of a hit and run involving a bicycle at that intersection on the same day James disappeared. I never put 2 and 2 together.
Oh, yeah, no way. No way.
Yeah. So I'm going to use the word interesting there, but I found that interesting.
And also, like, Dee, for example. How come she didn't just leave her... I mean, these are just... People do weird things, but she could have just left her car there and then just walked over to where Sherry lived. Would have taken her, you know, an hour. Instead, she's...
Less than 8 hours.
You know, yeah, and then you sat there for 6.5 in the scorching sun with, you know...
Supposedly, yeah.
I don't know. It just does, a lot of stuff doesn't make any sense here. And why? And also, how about this? So James goes on a bike, and let's just say, how come she never went looking for James after? There must have been a time where Dee called Sherry back up and said, "Hey, he's not here yet," and that would have alerted Sherry to being nervous now, and then she would have got on her car and been looking around, right? You would think. That's what normal people do, right?
Yeah, and I will let you know, I don't know that we're dealing with normal people in this scenario. However, yeah, that is what a normal person would do.
That's true. So it's hard to say, here's what normal people... I'll tell you what, but I don't think even somebody that's not normal in Dee's situation wouldn't have called Sherry a bunch of times. And then maybe even after an hour figured out a different way to go do something, and then later bring the people back to her car, Tank and the other person. Right? So,
yeah. Man,
anything else, you guys, any other information that you have that you could share? Or?
It is also our understanding, and it could be rumor. We get a lot of that, unfortunately, as well. But we do know that Tank and Sherry were in an on-again, off-again relationship for several years. And that when her and James started dating or whatever they were doing, Tank was in jail or prison. It's our understanding that he may have gotten out, give or take a month or less, before James went missing. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
Just so you know, that is one of the things that we've heard, that I did let the detective know. I'm not sure. I mean, he could obviously look that up much better than I can. So I did let the detective know that as well.
Wonder if Tank has a nickname of Christian. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
I don't think anything would surprise me at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We live a pretty normal life out here. It's just me, him, and our kids, and we work and do, you know, family stuff. And now this has happened and kind of turned our entire world upside down. And, you know, the distance is definitely causing, I feel, this to be a lot harder on us, just because we're so far away from where this is all occurring. And I mean, we can't drop our jobs and everything else to go out there until this is figured out. So I'm trying to do a lot of this from across the country. So it's made it very difficult.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you guys did come out the one time, but man, 3,000 miles every time you want to go back out. That's nuts.
A lot, yeah. And that's time off of work and trying to figure out, you know, do we want to buy extra plane tickets to bring the kids with us, or do we want to find somebody who wants to come deal with our kids and animals for several days while we're across the country?
Right.
So, it's not an easy thing for us. And, it's been a very, very difficult situation. I'm doing the best I can to figure out what I can and feed that information to the detective. But, again, with the distance, I can only do so much. So
Let me just go ask one more question about, the hit and run claim. Is that something that you could ask the detectives, or if that even is something that happened?
I actually did ask the detective. He has contacted the highway patrol that works that area, and they have not been able to. They went back all the way to like January or February and had not been out in that area at all.
And the claim was that she literally said it was somebody on a bike that was hit, and see that would have been.
They have in custody that is hit. The bike he was last seen supposedly on is the damage to the bike is not consistent with a hit and run per the detective.
So there is damage on that bike that you have a picture of?
Well, the seat's missing. I don't know if I'd call that necessarily damage. The seat is missing. You zoom in on the picture. The seat is missing.
Oh, okay.
But there's no damage consistent with a hit and run per the detective. So, and they can't find anything that shows a hit and run was ever known about in that area on or anywhere near that date.
Right. So, but James would know all about the park over here, these Joshua Tree. He knows this whole area really well.
Yes, absolutely.
And, God, it'd be interesting to see if he was listed somewhere as somebody that would, almost like a guide or something. Somebody that, I don't know, that you could pay money to hold a park, a camping spot. I mean, something like that. I don't know, because it's odd that she would have any connection to him at all. She lived way far away from there, and
I don't know the exact connection, but I do know there was some sort of connection. I don't really have any of the details of that, but I think there was some kind of connection in the Erika LLoyd case, or a presumed connection with Apple Valley. And I do know that Sherry Clover and Tank Turner went to Apple Valley High School. So maybe a connection there. I don't know.
Yeah. And it could just be a totally different James, which would make it a red herring, and totally that part of it is meaningless. But I just can't believe that they're not connected somehow, being 9 days apart, right in this tiny little section of a desert. Right.
And like I told you before, I'm a firm believer that too many coincidences are not a coincidence.
I agree. Yeah.
And as you said, there's just too many of them here. So it's kind of hard for us to believe that they're not connected. I mean, we don't have that solid proof at this time, no, but I strongly feel that they are connected at this point.
Yeah, I do too. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep, I'm sure we'll have other shows where we're talking about it, and then if there's any updates, we'll definitely put those in there. But I might, I think a lot of people are now more interested, at least on my channel, and they'll start digging things up, sending me links, things, and I'll forward things to you if it's something new.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
And I am looking at you on my screen over there, not. Okay. Let me go back over here. It's easier if I look at this other screen, then it looks like I'm having a conversation with you guys. But yeah, well, I'm really, I'm sorry you're having to go through this. I've talked to many people in a similar situation, and it's a nightmare. You want answers regardless at some point, like if he just completely disappeared off the face of the earth, then it's a long time just wondering. If that turns out to be his remains that they found, at least you have an answer for that. Then you move on to, getting answers of what the hell happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but being the people that literally go their whole lives never knowing where somebody is, that's one of the worst things possible.
I couldn't agree more. I think for us right now, the not knowing is probably the worst part.
Right. But I appreciate you taking your time to talk to me, and I'm sorry we started the show without you there, John.
No, you're fine. Thank you for the exposure. I think, like that, she's been doing really good by herself over here, but obviously.
Yeah, thanks, Sarita and Dadio Caspian versus Rock. Let me rewind it because I cut off the. There we go. You're taking your time to talk to me, and I'm sorry we started the show without you there, John.
No, you're fine. Thank you for the exposure. I think, like that, she's been doing really good by herself over here, but obviously with your audience and everything like that, I think that the more it keeps getting out, the more questions that are asked, something at some point is going to come to the surface. And I think that the more that people know and get this kind of exposure to it, I think the quicker those answers are going to come out, at least in my opinion.
I agree. And yes, Heather's been doing a really great job. I've seen her page, posts, updating information.
Yeah, she definitely missed her calling. So.
She's going to be one of those sleuths out there. Watch.
I'm sticking with IT for the record. I'm going to stick. Once this is over, I'm going back to my day job.
I do IT. I'm a programmer in like Python and IT stuff on the side. I mean, that's actually my regular full-time job. I literally have like 2 full-time jobs. I right when I'm done with that.
I'm a software tester in my other life.
Oh yeah.
When I'm not playing detective.
Well, cool. But they go hand in hand, because when you're doing that stuff, you're looking up how to solve a puzzle on a problem when you're programming. So even though they're totally different worlds, they kind of collide mentally a little bit. So.
Well, and I get paid to try and break software, so I'm trying to break this thing open so that I can figure out the answer.
There you go. Yeah, well, it'd be cool if you could somehow. Yeah, so it was almost over, but then I asked some more questions, so it goes on for another 5 minutes. Get the detectives a little bit more open with you. I don't know if they're just not really telling anything, or they're not keeping you in the loop.
I do talk to the detective regularly, and I know that when I talk to him, he does give me some updates, but yeah, it's just right now I'm sure they're investigating it, and right now they're probably even, given that they seem like they could be connected, but they've known that the whole time though, all the way since June. They were probably like, whoa, how come there's 2 things going on right here, right? Well, the detective on James's case is not the same detective that's obviously overseeing Erika LLoyd's case, but I have talked to the detective over James's case and let him know that I had talked to Erika's people, but we weren't able to make a connection at that time. But I actually reached out to him on Friday whenever this whole new thing with the James and Christian connection with Erika came up. And I ended up talking to him this morning. I guess he was in a training class on Friday, but he called me this morning and I talked to him and I gave him all the information, and he is definitely kind of feeling like we are, too coincidental to not.
Yeah. Well,
valid.
Don't you think it's interesting though, because they've had that information in the journal since June 16th or whatever, whenever they found her belongings, and they would have seen that name. So you think somebody would have put those 2 together? Maybe they did. They just wasn't public.
Yeah, they may have. I don't know. I don't know exactly when that was found in the journal, to be honest. I just know when I heard about it was Friday. But I will say that, as far as that goes, I know that there's a process, and I don't know that it goes as quickly as any of us would like when you're working with the detectives. And I can't even imagine what the crime rate is around there, to be honest with you. I wouldn't even want to know. I haven't looked it up for my sanity purposes, but right. I know that like the connection with the remains, I actually am the one who made that connection and got the coroner's office and the lead detective that's investigating those remains and the detective that's investigating my father-in-law as a missing person all connected on one email.
How did that not, I mean, there's something lacking, like some sort of a database or something, because you'd think you find human remains right near where a person went missing, James, and then also, well, 2 people went missing from literally within a mile and a half of those remains on the same road. Right? Oh, well, I guess, but you made the connection, so there you go. See?
Yeah. I also let them know the bike was still out there, so they went and got it, you know. But I mean, when I tell him stuff, I know that he's listening. I know he's acting on it. I don't know what's going on, if anything in the background that I'm not being told about. I do know that he does give me information every time I speak with him. And I do hear from, I mean, Twin on Palms is like Mayberry of the desert is what I call it. Like,
Right.
for anybody who's ever watched, you know,
Yeah.
the old Andy Griffith show, it's a very, very small town and everybody's somehow connected to everybody. And because we have connections out there, I do hear things and whatnot. So I do know he's out talking to people and things like that. So I don't know that he's not doing anything. I just feel like, you know, there are some people involved in this that I am pretty sure don't want to talk to a police officer, given their lifestyle and their life choices.
Well, I mean,
so maybe there's times where I am more effective than a badge.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing that, I mean, you're the one putting a lot of these pieces together for them, and they've become more interested because you've been doing that. So maybe you really are a sleuth already. So anyway, sorry for my chair. It's really loud. Anyways,
No.
I really appreciate you guys taking your time, and I'm sorry you're having to go through this, and hopefully soon there'll be some answers on parts of it. It just seems like somebody, one of those people's names that you've mentioned, knows a little bit more, if not more than one of the names, of what's been going, what went on in that area during June 15th to the 25th. Right?
That's what
So
we're hoping for. We hope that by getting, you know, James and Erica's names out there, that somebody that knows something will come forward. You know, even if it's anonymously, you know, you don't have to give the police your name. You can always, you know, call anonymously and provide a tip to the detectives that will help bring 2 families closure.
yeah. All right. Well, I'll probably be playing. Well, I will be playing this interview tonight on the show, so we can check it out. I'm just gonna stop recording it right now, but thank you again.
So
I was starting over again. But anyways, there you go. I thought it was really interesting. Thanks to Heather and John for coming on there to tell their story. I hope that we can somehow play a small part in getting it out there and maybe trying to figure out what the hell happened here. All right, but it does seem like it's becoming, you know, we'd talked about the Erika LLoyd case a couple times, but there just wasn't a lot of information. And we didn't even know that there was another missing person in this area. And what's interesting about that is, oh yeah, I did ask, hold on a second. So I have some other stuff to read here. Well, I did ask Heather about that. Like, when was he reported as a missing person? And it was I think in September, actually. So even though he went missing in June, nobody really reported him missing for, you know, a host of different reasons. So that's why that information wasn't really linked for so long, and maybe people just forgot about the link in these different agencies, right? But that's what's kind of cool about the internet, is there's all kinds of people out there that are putting stuff together. I don't know who timed you out there, Cristola. Nobody has any idea. I think. Oh wait, let me hold on. Let me get the answer to that question. Just a second. I have the answer. I'm just have to scroll up to find it. Oh, this might be it. No? Oh yeah, so it was Heather's stepson's mom, and she's the one that reported it for them, and that was on September 7th. So that's like, you know, how many, what is it? You got June 25th, July, August. I mean, you're looking, it's over 2 months for sure. Like 2 months and a couple weeks. Because a lot of people thought maybe he was just doing something else. You know, he took off to do some, whatever he was going to go do. All right, so he just wasn't reported. And so that's why there's never been a connection made. Imagine how this story would have been a lot bigger if somebody had reported him missing, maybe, let's say, on June 26th from that exact same area. I think law enforcement, everybody would have started going, whoa, 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 that's weird. Hey, Christola, let's just quit talking about what you're talking about. It's getting really boring. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read. There was a the individual named what's her name? D. I actually found her Facebook page, and I've got I've got a picture of her, and I don't know if I'm going to put it on there, but I have her name, and I might try to contact her. But I'm going to go through the conversation. You won't be able to see it, and I'm just going to switch it back over to Google Earth. Google Earth. Sorry, got something stuck in my throat. Now, hold on a second. I'm going to go get some liquid. And don't forget, everybody, I'm just a cup of coffee. We got to keep on building this up. There we go. Or 2 cups of coffee, whatever you want. Wow, it sounds like Charlie Ann's a stripper. Because I hadn't even thought of this being stripper music. It just sounded like a cool rap beat. Interesting. You must have played that before. Huh. What are you talking about, Gene? Yeah, a lot of stuff I don't agree with that you're right. But nobody's talking to you right now, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. Your comment was like a mile up there. Like, man. Everybody gets so offended when they think they're an expert in something that people don't immediately listen to every word that they say, and you know, so sometimes people are just reading something else. I want to do the one that I was playing yesterday. I like that one. Is it this one? There we go. All right. Everybody get happy now. This one's a robot stripper, okay?
Monster Mash. Hey, what do you think of this? It's awesome.
Yeah, I did not like this music. It's awesome. Thanks to Laura Nelson and Cindy Lynn.
Yeah, all right. And no, that wasn't a real toilet flushing for those of you out there. It's just sort of a resident joke in here, all right? Don't get offended. Oh, did you hear what he was doing? Yeah. Okay. So now the break is over. And here we go. I'm going to now go through the Word document. It's on a different screen now. So I'm going to read it. Okay. You guys ready? This is the conversation with Sherry, I think it's Slover. Right? Sherry Slover earlier. This is Chewbacca.
Chewbacca? Oh, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to.
There we go. And if you're wondering what the hell that was our buddy Cairo at a hotel, exiting outside to smoke a cigarette. And as soon as he opens the door, this lady sitting on the curb outside the door made that sound. And then he, being the movie aficionado that he is, he said, Chewbacca? And she said, I'll be Chewbacca if you want me to be. That's crazy. All right, so you guys ready? Tell me when you're ready to go through this, because it's pretty crazy stuff. I mean, it answers some things. I mean, it doesn't really, you don't really answer anything because you can't tell if anybody's telling the truth in the real world. No, that's not true. Gray, have them take a lie detector test. Yeah, those are fantastic. They work every single time. I think he just, I don't know how, I think he just had his camera on or something. Yeah, it's a good point, though. Why would he even have that running? Yeah, I never even thought of that one, Jay. Why would Cairo even have anything recording when he went out that door? I guess he just always has it recording because there's a lot of weirdos out there that he sees on the road. Okay, you guys are ready. Yeah, I know. I want it to be on desert mode. That's why it's on desert mode. You mean out here? Yeah. I'm not going to show you the writing over here. I mean, I could. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter, right? I mean... All right, she said, go ahead to ask questions. I said, after James went to help Dee, okay, you guys ready? After James went to help Dee, I wrote it wrong. Did Dee Every, I wrote it. I meant ever call you again and ask where James was? Because it's like, well, why wouldn't Dee have asked, called her a few minutes later saying, hey, where the hell's James? He was supposed to be here. And then once, she said once, and that was about 15 minutes after I talked to, after I talked to him last, she asked me where he was. Okay, so after she talked to him, okay, see, that doesn't make any sense there, okay? Because let me just tell you this. At the end of this interview or questioning thing, she said that he left the house at 9 in the morning, and then at 1:30 is when he called to say, hey, where's Dee? And then they honked the horn. So then it was 15 minutes after that is what she's talking about. Once, and that was about 15 minutes after I talked to him last. She asked me where he was. Well, why didn't she call 4 hours earlier? I told her I did not know, because she said, where is he? And she said, I do not know. I had not heard from him after that last time I talked to Dee was the day that Heather and John came to visit. Let's see. Let me see. I had not heard from him after that. Last time I talked to Dee. Okay, so the same day that the two people I just interviewed, John and Heather, went out there, that's the last time she's talked to Dee since the time that she called 15 minutes after. So that would have been 1:45, I guess. Yeah. And then I said, thanks. How did you know Dee? She lives in Yucca Valley, right? She says, no, she lives here, 29 Palms, but it's really close. I mean, 31 miles. Right in town, about 10 minutes from where I stay. She was my best friend for just a short minute. Then she stabbed me in the back. Not literally. Okay, and then, oh shoot, just a second. I don't want to put her picture up on the screen. I sent her a picture asking if that was her, and it was. So yes, but she has very short hair now, or something like that. And then I said, okay, why was her car in the desert by that shed? Seems like an odd spot to break down. Okay, so that's what I was asking. Like, why in the hell was Dee's car right here? Right? Like, what in the hell was it doing right there? And then she said she has a fetish with rocks, like a lot of the locals out here. When she sees one, no matter where she is with, who she's with, she has to stop. Well, she stopped in what we call out here sugar sand. And if you don't know how to drive in it, you will get stuck. I kind of know what she's talking about. You know, that really powdery sand, and then your wheel, you have to drive probably really slowly to get out. Just the previous week, I was with her, and she got stuck doing the same thing, admiring rocks. She goes all over the place out there in her SUV. And then she said, hello, are you there? I guess I must have left for a minute, but it wasn't that long. I didn't even see that. So she was driving by and saw a rock a quarter mile from the road. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like the road's right here. So she saw a cool rock out there and went busting out there. You know, that didn't make any sense. And she said she will go anywhere she thinks there are good rocks to find. So that makes it a little different, that she just kind of wandered out there to look for a rock. So when did she come back? After a few hours, did you... let's see. So when... Okay. So when she didn't come back... Or when he, excuse me. So when he didn't come back after a few hours, did you get worried? I was referring to Jason, right? Oh man, my brain. Hold on a second. Or James, excuse me. My head just went. I was just trying to think of something else. I was just kind of sidetracked in my brain of what I was just reading there. What is she talking about? Do you believe this right here? I mean, it doesn't. It sounds like it's possibly true at this point. It's just so odd, right? So I asked, so when he didn't come back after a few hours, did you get worried? Let me set one thing straight that you said in your investigation. I did not make James go out there to help her. He did it on his own. Okay, so that is something that's different. He is that kind of man. He would help anyone who needed help if he was able to do so. Okay, so apparently Dee called her, and then he said, I'll go do it. And he left at 9 in the morning. But if he was so like, wow, he'll help anybody, how come he took 4.5 hours to get there? And apparently that turns out to be normal later. Oh yeah, that's just totally normal. 4.5 hours to go 3.5 miles with a bike. He's just really slow, and you'll see that later though. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like there's drugs involved, or in some way out here. Let's see. So I go, she said, let me tell you one thing. I did not make James go out there to help her. He did it on his own. He is that kind of man. He would help anyone who needed help if he was able to do so. Okay, how did he know? How did he know? How did he know D? No, because he has a job in town taking care of a want. I'm not sure what that means. With disability, probably a woman with disabilities. So it was not unusual for him to be gone for 3 to 4 days, sometimes a week, depending on how sick the lady was. Not really. And then it says, did he know D? And then she said, not really. He picked her up a few times to bring. Wait. She picked him up a few times to bring him out to the trailer out there. So she had picked up James a few times to bring him out to this trailer right here. Okay, so that means she went there too, right? Nobody called him in as missing for 2.5 months, is what I said. You have a car, right? Why didn't you just take him to D since D called you? These are all questions people want to know. I'm having a hard time reading with this backdrop here. Look, she said. Look, I tried to call. I went to his friend's place. I even went to his wife's home. I have been looking the best I can. I have no means of a car or truck to do so, so when I could get a ride, I would do what I could while I was out and about. Okay, so you didn't have a car? She said his truck was down. He was in the process of fixing it. That is why he took the bike. Okay, so that kind of explains the bike part, right? If you're to believe this, it does make sense that she's using his bike, because we learned earlier that he didn't have any of his bikes over there at this trailer. She had her bike. His car was broken down, so he takes her bike, okay? When did you hear about the hit and run at Highway 62 and Shelton? Because apparently there was a hit and run claim. And then she was answering a previous question. No, I wish then this bullshit would have never happened. Believe me, I miss him so effing much. It kills me just this no, he may not come back. Just to this, no, he may not come back. Okay. You mentioned a hit and run on the very same day. How did you not maybe put the two together, since that was a bicyclist? Because this may sound really stupid, because I am registered, not sure what that means, here in this county of San Bernardino on Nixle. Okay, I guess it's a website, which is an up-to-date on everything about everyone as far as accidents to murder. And when it was brought to my attention, I thought Jay Huffman, something of shit. So I did not think nothing of it. I even got on my computer and went to the website for days, and nothing was mentioned about it. So on the website it wasn't mentioned. I really don't know what she's saying here, but it gets kind of clarified later. Yeah, so it's likely it likely didn't happen, is what I said. So currently, are you dating Tank, and did he and James get along? And then she's answering the previous question. That is what I thought, because he, Huffman, was the only person I had heard it from. Now, if you ask me, that is a bit fishy, don't you think so? So right now she's trying to spin the heat onto this other guy a little bit. Yeah, I said, yeah, so who is that person? Tank is my roommate. And that is the way it has been for about 9 months now. And still is that way. And she's referring to a different question, because down here she said, who, Huffman? Let's see, I gut feeling, so probably my gut feeling tells me he had something to do with James. He's the only person who mentioned about this hit and run, the only one. And since that day, I have not heard from him at all. So that is, that's mildly interesting, right? Can you show me where he mentioned that a hit and run? That hit and run is what I asked. And I'm referring to Huffman. And then she says, why do you think D didn't call you back a few more times? And then I said, what is that room thing? She accidentally sent me some room. I have no clue. She has still not called me or said anything to me. But she did call you 15 minutes after the call where she honked, but never again. And then she sat there for 6 hours waiting for 2 others to help her. See, I had it wrong here because I didn't realize that he left the house at 9, then called at 1:30. Isn't that just crazy right there? I mean, 4.5 hours. So what she's saying later on in this interview here is it took James 4.5 hours to get from right here to right here on a straight line. 4.5 hours to get there. No way. And then at 1:30 is when he made the phone call to Sherry, and then Sherry included D, and then the horn was honked. It just sounds crazy to me. 4.5 hours. I even explained it. I go, you could walk that distance in an hour at the most. So on a bike, imagine how slow you'd have to be. You'd have to be... And here's the thing, is you got somebody whose car's broken down, and he's going to go out and help fix the car. Why in the hell would he lackadaisically head out there? Oh, I was just taking my time. I didn't care that you were, People wouldn't do that if you're that willing to help. Well, we don't know if he had a seatless bike. That just has a seat, no seat on it when they found it. Man, you guys really, don't you think that's pretty obvious? My God, really? No, the bike was found with no seat. It doesn't mean it didn't have a seat on it when he was riding it, if he rode it at all. Man, where did you guys come up with that logic stream? That's amazing. That's really, wow. That's the kind of stuff that people get offended when I go, oh my God, are you kidding me? All right, let me get back to this. We don't even know, however, that he ever even was on the bike. They could have just put the bike there and claimed anything at that point. She did say something in the daughter-in-law's post about me. All I know is the person she called. Let me read this part. My mistake. Sorry about that. Yes. So my question was 6 hours. So she was just waiting there for 6 hours? Yes. She did say something on the daughter-in-law's post about me. All I know is the person she called on first to help her was Tank. So she called Tank first. He was at work at the time. I had no way to help her, so that is when James went to go help her, and that was 9 in the morning apparently. Why didn't she just walk to your house? I said. I do not know, ask her that. So she's telling me to ask her that. That whole situation is just out of the ordinary of human behavior. I think everyone knows that. She says, I agree. Totally awkward, out of the ordinary. So, I mean, So at this point, you're listening and you're just trying to, there's nothing like glaringly out of control at this point. And I said, do you know specifically where the human bones were found since you live there? If I sent a map, could you point it out? And then I said, I just have general pins out there. She says, I have no idea where the bones were found. I do not even know where the bike was found or who even found them. I wonder who found the bones, though. I never got that question. I should ask that. To ask Heather that. So where can I see where Huffman posted that about the hit and run. Posted what he told me in front of Tank. There's no post. Just the post in my head. So the thing is listen out, it gets kind of weird here. Oh, I see. When did he tell you this? So it was Tank actually told Sherry this. I mean, he literally told her in person. And I said, oh, I see. When did he tell you this? She said, on June 25th, the same day. So the same day that James goes missing, you know, he's nowhere to be found. He says, oh yeah, there was a hit and run right down at that same intersection and with a bike. All right. So anyways, on June 25th. So this is when I said it was the same day, but more towards the midday, you know, about 4:30 to 5 p.m. that same day on June 25th. So what exactly do you remember him telling you is what I said. So I reached out to James' lady friend and his wife and his ex-lady. Know what the two out of the three told me? So she says, so I reached out to James's lady friend and his wife and his ex-lady. Know what 2 out of the 3 told me? And I said, what? Hey, did you know there was... Let's see. Hey, did you know there was a hit and run on Highway 62 in Shelton Road? And then... let's see. And then snickered about it and then left. Oh, okay. So she's answering another question. I said up here, so what exactly do you remember Hank telling you about it? And then down here she says, hey, did you know there was a hit and run on Highway 62 in Shelton Road? And then he snickered about it, and then he left. So he went all the way over to her house to tell her that. Now she's going to answer the question that when she said, so I reached out to James' lady friend and his wife and his ex-lady. You know what the 2 out of the 3 told me? She said, they told me this is something that James does when he gets arrested out. Yeah, he will disappear for a few days, and he will just pop back up. And I was also told I was too obsessing over that. He was tired of me, which I know is a lie. But for the first 4 days, he had not gotten a hold of me. I started telling 2 ladies that I felt like something was wrong. No, he did not. And then, let's see. No, he did not. He kept it short and sweet. So what was I saying? So he went to your house to tell you that, then he left? Didn't he say what time it occurred? She said, no, he did not. He kept it short and sweet, and I just got up and left his truck, I guess. I'm not sure why she was in the truck. I don't get that part. Maybe she was outside at his truck. But he pulls up, he says that, and he leaves. So he literally just showed up and told you that, then left. I thought that was around 1:30 when the hit and run happened. And then she says, I do not know what time it happened. I have not had the privilege to be included on that information at all. Did you get the sense that it just happened? Let's see. Did you get the sense that it had just happened when he showed up? Like when he pulled up to her house, did he just get done with the hit and run? No, James called me at 1:30 p.m. to ask me to call Dee to have her honk her horn. And this is where I started going, wait, what are you talking about? At 1:30? What do you mean 1:30? And then I said, I thought it was 8:30 in the morning when he went out to help her. Okay? And then she says, no, because Tank and I seen Huffman in the AM on that morning. Said he had some work to do on the other side by Highway 62. And now she's responding to a different, did you get the sense that it just happened? And that's the answer to that. And at the bottom, she's answering this next question. I thought it was 8:30 in the morning when he went out to help her. No, he left about 9 a.m. that morning to go help her. And I go, okay, so you saw Huffman, then later in the day, he went by your house. Okay, and then I said, okay, hold on. Okay. So he left at 9 a.m. Then he called you at 1:30. That's 4.5 hours later. I mean, listen to this. Well, you don't need to be confused. She's just telling a completely different story. Just listen to it. And I said, it's only... And she said, yes, that is when he told us about a hit and run. He was on a bike. And then now she's answering about this. He was on a bike. Really? It's not flat land out there. So now she's saying why it might have taken him so long, because it's not really flat land. Well, you know, that's about as flat looking as you can possibly get. I mean, I'm sure there's some, you know, little bit of bumps here and there. It just, okay. I don't think that's a good argument. All right. So let me get back to this. I said only 3.5 mile bike ride. So that doesn't make sense right there. Did James have D's number? He rode that bike very slow. Always did. So he did not have D's numbers. He did it. Would be better if he just called me. I don't know. I can't make that out. It does make sense. Now she's arguing with me, saying it does make sense. If you knew James at all, he never did anything fast at all. I said, okay, but that's 4.5 hours. You could walk that distance in 1 hour. Okay? He took his time on everything he did. First, it was the middle of June, hot as F out there, like 110 degrees. Plus, he has a really bad back. So this is why he would have taken this time. Well, I don't think he would have went to do it if it was all that, you know. In an hour, she says, in an hour, maybe where you live, but here in the desert, it's called a heat stroke if you do not pace yourself. Okay, I get it. You could walk like Tim Conway did when he was going across that street in a special, and you'd get there in 4.5 hours. You know, you ever watch the like Harvey Korman show? Whatever the hell that thing was, with Tim Conway in it. And when he crossed the street the one time and the sign kept saying, don't walk, so he'd stop and turn around. Look, okay. So you know exactly what I'm talking about here, right? So there's no way in the... Listen, I don't care what you're saying about pacing yourself. Yeah, maybe it was a Carol Burnett show, but yeah, it was like Tim Conway, and I didn't even care about Carol Burnett as much as those two guys. Those two guys are hilarious. She was good too, though. I mean, them all three together, they were fantastic. But Harvey Korman and Tim Conway by themselves are great. The little skits, you know. God, man. If you haven't seen those and you just want to laugh your ass off, I don't give a damn what age you are, go look those up on YouTube. All right, so this is what you say. He took his time on everything he did. First, it was the middle of June, hot as F, like 110 degrees. Plus, he has a really bad back. Well, in an hour? Well, maybe where you live, but here in the desert, it's called a heat stroke if you don't pace yourself. And then I said, but somebody needed help. Wouldn't he get there quicker than 4.5 hours? Don't you think that's a good point right there? I mean, you know, James here, she's touting him as this chivalrous guy, you know, like, yes, he's going to go out and help somebody, a damsel in distress with the car, yet he's going to pace himself and take 4.5 hours to go 3.5 miles. Right? That makes no sense. But someone needed help. Wouldn't he get there quicker than 4.5 hours? Not James, and everyone who knew him knew that about him. And I said, Now, if his truck was fixed, he would have been there a lot faster. Well, I sure as hell hope so. I would say 4 minutes max. Okay? Well, I'm getting ready to cook some food, so if you will excuse me for a few. Thank you. I said, thank you. I'll read these on my show to put your side out and see what people think. Thank you. it was Tank and Gary, right, that helped her eventually? If you have more questions to ask me, feel free. Will do, thanks. Yes, it was. She answered that question. She showed up here with Gary. She stayed here at my place. So Gary picked her up, picked Dee up from where her car broke down. She stayed here while at my place until they got back with her truck, which was no more than a half an hour when they got back. Okay, so what happened is Gary and Tank, okay, let me show you on the map here. Gary and Tank show up at Dee's vehicle here. They pick up Dee. They drive Dee all the way back out to this property right here, and Gary drops her off. Then Gary takes back up, off again, goes back out here. They free Dee's car, and then 30 minutes later, they show back up here. Interestingly, maybe something else was being done with the truck during that time. Who the hell knows, right? Let's see. Yes, it was. She showed up here with Gary. She stayed here at my place until they got back with her truck, which was no more than a half hour when they got back. What time was that? When she was dropped off by Gary. About 3:30 or 3:45. So now she's been sitting there for, 6.5 hours. So that means 9 o'clock in the morning when James headed out. Dee finally gets back to some sort of civilization at 3:30. Seems like Dee would have kept calling you when he wasn't there. What did you tell her when she called after 15 minutes? So at 1:30, doesn't this bother you guys that from 9 to 1:30, Dee didn't sit there and just keep going, hey, where the hell is he? Hey, where the hell is he? I mean, I've waited another half hour. He should have been here a long time ago. Where the hell is he? See, there 4.5 hours it took him to get to the intersection. What are you talking about? What does that even mean? She didn't attack anyone. Jesus. But why did you tell her it wouldn't be much longer? Let's see. It seems like Dee would have kept calling you when he wasn't there. What did you tell her when she called after 15 minutes? I said what he has not made it there, or I said what? He has not made it there? It should not be too much longer. Well, what do you mean it shouldn't be too much longer? He's already taken 4.5 hours to get there. It took her 4.5 hours to get there. My God. Who are you guys even talking about? What is Flippity or whatever? What are they talking about right there? Seriously, I don't even know who you're talking about. Somebody asking questions. Who's asking questions? Who the hell is she talking about? You all just get mad she was asking questions. Who? Who was asking questions? Oh, you don't have to. I don't know why you deleted her. I mean, she's always around here. What was she saying? Yeah, I'm not gonna. Okay, good. You unhid her. Okay. So you're not hidden anymore. I mean, I understand what was going on up there. She's okay. All right. Right. Yeah, if they're asking questions about the current case, you guys can answer them. I'm not going to be answering them. But if people come in and start talking about another case, then you can go ahead and put them on timeout or whatever, as much as you want. Okay? But I'll put myself in jail for the actions right here, right? It's a slow night. If you guys want me to continue, get me the hell out of here. Man, I did so much work for today, and it's one of the worst nights we've ever had on here. Unbelievable. Thanks, Dadio. That'll help buy my pack of gum when I'm heading out to the... Thanks, Jen H. You get my slippers to get out the door. I've just spending the whole damn day interviewing and, you know, getting all kinds of stuff ready for the show, and it's crazy how it's... And there's Juju Positive helping out again. Jeez. I'm gonna have to send Juju Positive an entire wardrobe. Hey, thanks, Kit Kat. Yeah, I'll put you in mean jail too. Okay. All right, you guys. I'll get out now. Thanks. How do I get out? I don't know. Oh, and Lee D and Kubi. Gene Fish. Guilty Gray. Yeah. Yeah, and I understand what you're, Michelle, how you're trying to help out. I would just say, if somebody's asking questions about the current case, you guys can just answer them. I'm not going to do it. So, but you guys see how I was getting really confused here? Now I know what soap on a rope means, Kubi. I don't even know if I have a theory at this point. I think a theory that makes sense is that he... Well, it's weird because you come up with different theories. Hey, thanks, Swerves and Berserker, Loki. It makes sense if you... Well, if you have to remove one of the elements. Like Erika LLoyd, if you pretend that that didn't happen right there, what would be the most likely thing? You could almost start going, well, you know... I mean, who the hell knows, right? He witnessed something he shouldn't have witnessed. But it's almost like the thing that he witnessed that he shouldn't have witnessed, or maybe not say he shouldn't have witnessed it. He witnessed something that somebody else didn't want him to witness. And then you would think that that necessarily would be happen to be related to Erika LLoyd. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, right, Jamie? It's definitely, it's a lot more intriguing to me than a couple of these other cases that have people covering it every second of every day for 4 months straight, neglecting all of the other cases out there that could use just as much help. But now this one does have some interesting elements, and I'm sure you'll start seeing it pop up on some of the other Subminers channels. Yeah, it was a lot of conversation here. Yeah, well, she said, let me keep going through this. Okay, when she dropped off Gary. Seems like Dee would have kept calling you when he wasn't there. What did you tell her when she called after 15 minutes? I said, what? He has not made it there? it should not be much longer. Well, let me ask you this. If he left at 9 o'clock and at 1:30, she's saying, oh wait, no, so he'd already called apparently at 1:30. So then 15 minutes after the 1:30 call, she's saying it shouldn't be much longer. But man, if you're going to go by the pace that it took him to get from where he lived to that intersection, he had another hour to go. And then I said, but why did you tell her it wouldn't be much longer when that was only 15 minutes? And then I said, and 4.5 hours is reasonable? Yeah. I had it messed up in my head a little bit at the time. I thought the 15-minute, that call was made at like 9:20. I don't know. Anyways, I'm guessing he could not find her. That's what she said. Ask her when you talk to her. And I said I messaged her. Does he have a number I could call? Yes, hold on. Who is Huffman, by the way? He is a person who worked on a job with James out here. Do you want his number? Sure. And so, anyways, I got both those phone numbers. I'll see what happens with those. All right. So, man, it's just turned into a crazier, more confusing situation, right? Yeah, it's only like 3.5 miles. Look, I'll measure it for you. It's literally the straightest line you could ever imagine. Look at that. And they're just a little off of it there. So, I mean, basically you can just take that, go from here, a little measuring tool here. 3.6 miles. And it's about the straightest line. Let's just take a look at what it looks like, because you can actually go down the street view here and look that direction, and you'll see what it looked like. So let me go over here. Yeah, so it is a dirt road, but it's a freaking mountain bike, and it's paved. I mean, you know, not paved, but like really smoothed out. It's not like you were riding through this. Okay, so it's way down there, but yeah, it's definitely pretty flat. Yeah, it's like there's hardly any elevation change. It's a dirt road and it goes straight out. Does anybody think that if you started biking from, let's say, right where my pin is right there, that it would take you 4.5 hours to get to here? And the answer should be a resounding no. It's probably a little bit further than that, though. I mean, look how fast I can do it. I'm just kidding. So the interesting parts about this case is that you have Erika's car, who disappeared on the 15th, right here. She was at a Joshua Tree National Park, right in this location, right at this campground right here, on the 15th or so. But before she'd left, she said that a person named James and Christian were going to hold her camping spot for her. She came out there and she literally wrote in her journal, James and Christian weren't here. But she set up a tent and everything, had everything set up, her car, and then the police came by there, I think on the 15th or 16th, I think the 15th, that same night or whatever, and saw her car had been completely vandalized, windows broken in and everything. So then they went back out there the next day, and then the car was gone. That was like on the 16th. And then the 17th, they found her car parked right here and then had it towed away. So right in this general location, it was facing here. I think the tow truck driver actually came out, showed him exactly where it was, had a different car on his tow truck that day. It's not like he would have went to the impound and picked up the exact car and then drove it back out there. I'm just reading some stuff. Oh man. Yeah, well, it's either. Well, I was just joking around on the show. You know, if Christian is actually the tank guy. And believe it or not, there's a whole bunch of people with his exact name, Tank something. You know, it's like Jesus. And so her car was on the road right here. It was towed away. So that maybe that was the 17th. And on the 25th, James goes missing from this precise location right here. That's where he made a call. He said he heard a honk, and after they set up the three-way phone call, heard a honk and said, "Okay, I got it." Then he starts heading out or doing whatever he's doing. We don't know. Then they found the bike he was on right here with his cell phone in that area, and then they found skeletal remains that haven't been identified yet out in this area on August 11th, which was about 6 weeks after he went missing. And given that time of year, our body would decompose really quick in that sort of heat, because you're talking about a body laying in the ground from June until August. I mean, you're in the hundreds almost every single day there. And there's also coyotes, all kinds of stuff out here. So, there you go. Well, that's the story so far, everybody. Hope you guys found that interesting. Now, I think it's 116, Gene. 116 is what I'm thinking. Sometimes even like 122, at 122.6. So at this point, it just seems so likely that these two right here are related. And if they're not, everybody should immediately go buy a lottery ticket. I mean, you have a quarter mile right here in the middle of nowhere. Two people disappear right here. Now, Erika, admittedly, could have disappeared from the park and her car placed there, but it seems so likely that her case, is related to James' case. Especially now, since we know that there's actually a name James in Erika's diary, and she even told her roommate of a name James. We don't know. They'd almost have to do some forensic work on her computer to see what that's all about. It could be a totally different James. James is actually Jim. Back to you, Jim. I mean, we say that often because there's so many people named Jim. But, it's interesting reading Sherry's comments, because it's like she has this totally different take on it. Some of it just sounds, it doesn't make sense to me. But she even said it didn't make a lot of sense. Some of the stuff, but I didn't like the part about it would be normal for him to take 4.5 hours to go 3.5 miles on a mountain bike. That didn't make any sense to me. Okay, that sounds like you're making an excuse for something. And I thought it's a little interesting too, because now you're putting the time at 1:30 that he's at that intersection. And then it starts getting closer to when this hit and run thing apparently could have happened. And we don't know the answer to that yet. Wait, hold on. Oh wait, I gotta scroll down. Oh, weird. Okay. Well, I just read something that Sherry. I mean, I think I can just hold on. Well, yeah, well, I'll just say it anyway. Sherry, let's see, Heather told me that Sherry told them that D is the one that told her about the hit and run, which is totally different now than saying that it was Gary, or not Gary, that it was Tank. Ah, jeez. Oh, God. You see what's going on here? It's like, where are the actual facts? You know what the truth is that if something bad happened to James, it could have happened the previous day. And all of this stuff is just absolutely made up. Is there even any proof at all that there was a car stuck way out behind a shed out there? I want to know if there's even proof that a phone call was made. That would be the one thing that they would have to be able to verify, that there was a phone call at 1:30 made to his phone. I think that, let's just say that he was still alive at that point. But who knows why the phone call was made? Was the horn an actual signal to somebody else? That yes, now he is in that spot? Thank you, J.K. Hey, awesome. Yeah, I just like to try to think through these sometimes. Well, it's not going to make the sound, so everybody put up the... here we go. Here, I know. I'm going to try something here. Hold on a second. Yeah. Thank you, JK's. The Uber emergency room doctor kicking ass out there. Thank you for watching the channel and supporting it. I really appreciate it. From the green forests of the Pacific Northwest, I bid you all good evening, or good morning, as the case may be. Doom 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 doom. All right. Thank you. Well, that's all I could do. Get that music in. I don't have the cat eye sound on this streaming software that I have. Why, did somebody ask something, Heather? Yeah, you know what's crazy is some of the articles had James Escalante in it. And then I was thinking to myself, I couldn't have made that mistake just naturally. I mean, I have screwed up a few times. But then I was talking to Heather, and she said that it was in the article. She had to actually get it fixed. How does that? What do you mean for the Facebook group? How does that work? You like making a tag in here for them, or maybe I need to figure out how that works. Yeah, well, they must have fixed those articles because I couldn't find them again. But she even said it, that she had to. They wouldn't fix them first, but then maybe they did later. Yeah. All right. Oh, the Facebook group. Oh, I see. That must have been way up there because I was reading it. Yeah, Cristola, but you know, just don't keep asking and bringing up and alluding to it. It was okay a long time ago. You were already unhidden like 20 minutes ago, so don't bring it up again just to try to create more issues. All right. People like to do that, try to become the center of, oh, everybody, look at me. I was the one that got, hey, gosh, all I was doing was, you know, just, it's okay. All right. People make mistakes. Oh, here we go. Well, I don't really have much more to... Well, there was another case. Well, here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to get a hold of those people tomorrow. And if it works out, then I'll have another show with those interviews on them. If not, there's other missing people at this point. I don't really have any updates on the other... the cases that we've been covering, which would be, hold on, yeah, Stephanie Hollingsworth. And I've seen, you know, people are talking, hey, we all need to keep looking out, but there isn't really any breaking news in that one. But there is one, Holly Suzanne Cordier. I think that's how you say it, or Courtier. I'm not really sure exactly. I don't know if you guys want to look at that one really quick. Yeah, but hers is less of a head scratcher than this one, in my opinion. Okay, well, here's this new one here. Let me just build a quick little folder for it in Google Earth. You guys probably hear my dishwasher. Okay, crews continue to search for Zion National Park. We've done flybys in Zion National Park many times. For a missing woman. Search teams continue. Let me turn this music down a little bit. You can tell it's too loud. That wasn't that loud. Search teams continue to look in Zion National Park for a woman who has been missing since Tuesday. Rangers at Zion and the Washington County Sheriff's Office are continuing their investigation of the missing person case of Holly Suzanne Cordier, or is that Cordier or Courtier? Let's see. She is described as 38 years old, 5'3" and about 100 pounds. She is white with brown hair and blue eyes. Cordier was dropped off Tuesday by a private shuttle bus at the Grotto Park area in Zion. So let's get that. Okay, how about Grotto Park? The Grotto picnic area? Yeah, so probably right in this area right here, I would imagine. Wow, how cool is that? Jesus. Wow, look at this, man. I think we've got some new flyby material here. Let me put. I mean, we've been here, but not this precise area. Oh, Apple Valley. Yeah, that's where. Isn't that where the? That's where she's from, right? Yeah. Isn't Erika LLoyd from there, or am I thinking of something different? Oh, Utah. Oh. Yeah, my friend that I had in college, named the Ty Burrell character from Modern Family, he bought a place out here somewhere. I don't know where, but okay. So that's where she disappeared. She was scheduled to be picked up by shuttle bus at the Grotto stop at 4:40 p.m. but never returned. Her intended travel plan and current whereabouts are not known. Rangers believe she was wearing a pastel gray trucker hat, a black Patagonia puff jacket, a dark tank top, gray Danner Trail hiking boots, and a blue Osprey multi-day pack. She may have been carrying a cream-colored open front cool hoodie, a Rumple Nano Loft puffy blanket. Man, it sounds like an ad. Anyone with information about Cordillera is to ask to call the National Park Service. Alright, so let me get the next article here. Washington County and Zion National Park officials are asking for the public's help this weekend in locating a woman who went missing Tuesday at the park. Holly Suzanne Cordillera, 38, was last seen Tuesday about 1:30 p.m. when she was dropped off by a private shuttle bus at the Grotto parking area. So when they say Grotto parking area, what does that mean? Look at, there's literally, wow. They must have walked the trails. Look at this. Man, you get to, you can experience, half-assed, but you could literally walk some of the Zion area just by Google Earth, guys. Yeah, I remember that, Jay. I don't think it was near here, though, was it? See, Grotto picnic area. There is a road there. Does it have... That's crazy. They didn't even do Google Earth on the road. It was... I mean, look at this crap. They got the Google Earth guy walking up here. Holy crap. And this is where you get like a cougar running out at you. I should make a video and freak you guys out. Is there something going on with that property, Jay? I missed the conversation above. Man, what an amazing place this is. Huh? Oh, really? Cool. I thought the one we were looking at, you were like on a peninsula in California somewhere. Oh, that's right. I do remember. I remember that now. Yeah, that's pretty adventurous for a Google Earth guy to just... That's crazy, right? Let's see it. Over here, isn't it in this area right here? Coyote Valley Road. Or maybe there's another one. Doesn't seem anywhere near here, though. Good night, Jamie McLaughlin. Awesome. Oh, there you go. They have a picture right there. So the grotto picnic area. So they definitely had the same spot there. Her intended travel plan from the Grotto Park area is unknown, and her current whereabouts are unknown. Cordier was scheduled to be picked up at the same day at 4:40, so 3 hours and 10 minutes later, but never returned. So that means she intended to do kind of a long kind of hike. Yeah, it's in Utah. Yep. So it sounds like she intended to do a longer hike, and then maybe something just happened to her out there. I mean, you could just tell by looking at that. It's pretty crazy. I mean, if she started right here in this area, hell, I mean, some people walk up some of these damn things. I mean, I don't know if they just let you do that right there, but... Well, Google Earth was on this one too. At least that's a road, but... I think that's a tent or a lens flare on there. Yeah, there was a lens flare. See, it's right there again. See, there you go. See, that's how that... Just experience, I was thinking maybe that's a lens flare, because if you were just looking at that, you'd think that that's an object in the scene, right? But if you go one more step over, you can actually see that lens flare continuing on, and you might even see it again. Yeah, right there, see? Anyways, I don't really know. Well, doesn't seem to be a lot of like extra information here. Let's try this Daily Mail, about 85% accurate. So Utah authorities are desperately searching for a mother who disappeared 6 days ago during a visit to Zion National Park. Zion National Park rangers, along with Washington County Sheriff's Office, are continuing to investigate the disappearance of Holly Suzanne Cordier. Utah authorities are desperately searching for Holly Suzanne Cordier, 38, of California, who disappeared 6 days ago during a visit. Let's see. In an Instagram post Sunday night, Cordier's daughter and mother wrote that the Rangers informed her that unless they gathered additional intel, they will only be able to be continuing their search for 1 or 2 more days. And she wrote, they have many search parties out looking for her. A lot of locals have gathered together to create extra search parties. In an Instagram post Sunday night, Cordier's daughter, we already read that part. She was possibly dropped off by a private shuttle bus at the Grotto parking area within Zion National Park. In an Instagram post Sunday night, Cordier's daughter, Kaylee Chambers, wrote, we already read that part too. It's getting down to the final few days of survival without food. All the prayers, but she did have a pack with her. Maybe there was something in it. All the prayers we can get for her safe return and the safety of those searching for her is greatly appreciated. Chambers, who spoke to her mother the Friday before her trip, told KTLA that Cordier never made it to the return shuttle at the park. So these are apparently the clothes that she might have been wearing. And that's exactly what we were just looking at. Although that's a better picture. Hey Jay, send me the address to that place again. I want to check it out. Here, let me see something here really fast. Hey, this is something Nate Eaton posted. I just want to check it out. It was like a cougar. Kyle Burgess. Oh shit. It's coming at him. Oh god.
You!
Oh, I think he was saying F.
Holy sh!
Oh man.
Oh.
Oh god, it's still coming after him.
Oh.
Look at that right there, look.
Oh. Ah!
Oh man.
No! Get the f away!
Oh man, how trippy would that be?
Get the f away!
Wow.
Holy sh! Holy f! Go! 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 No! No! Go away! Go away! Please go away!
Must
Holy
have been a hungry cougar, huh?
Go
Hey,
away!
Discerning Light, how about you just let
Go
us
away.
enjoy it naturally
scary.
instead of giving away the hints?
Holy f!
I'd never want to take you to a movie, I'll tell you that.
Go away! Go away! You're good. You're a good little kitty cat. Oh. Holy. What's up, dude? Oh. Holy sh. Nice and slow. Come on. Ah!
I'd be picking up a rock and throwing it at his head, you know? And
No. No. I'm big and scary. I'm big and...
I saw somebody be big and scary to a bear.
Go away.
You know?
Go away. Go away.
I would definitely have some big
Go get
rocks
your
in my
babies.
hand.
I'm not coming back down, I promise. Holy. Holy. Babies. And mama got to be right there, don't they?
Oh, I think that's what the first one was. It was a baby one because it looked
Dude,
a lot
you're
smaller.
scary. You're a scary kitty cat.
Is that a cougar or a bob? Well, it looks like a cougar. Although it's kind of, its paws look more
Holy
like a...
No, go away.
It's definitely a cougar.
Go
I can
away.
see it over here. Oh.
No. No.
God.
You, dude.
How terrifying would that?
Holy-
Oh my God. Holy shit. Wow, man, that's some crazy crap.
Gosh. Where's my gun? Okay. This is when I die. No. Get the away. Stupid kitty cat. Holy, come on,
Man, that thing
dude.
just kept going
I
forever.
don't feel like dying today. Ah.
I wonder when the next time he's going to go hiking is.
Go eat your babies.
How would you ever be able to enjoy a hike again after that?
No. Go away. Go away.
Yeah, I just said that there was 2 little ones at the beginning.
Go
Or
away.
I just said there was 1.
No. You face, dude.
But what's weird is he would just leave
Trying to
his
attack
cubs
me, right, to look
alone.
away from you.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a
Dude.
stupid cougar, you know?
What do
It's
you want me
like,
to do?
you just walked
Come
about
on.
a mile leaving your damn cubs back there.
Come on. Ah. Oh, stupid. This sucks. This is scary. My heart is racing. Dude. Okay. This is not fun.
Yeah,
Go
I mean,
get
I'm
your babies. Go away.
not sure why he hasn't picked up a
Oh.
rock. I think it would run if you threw a rock
Damn.
at him. I mean, it would take off.
I just wanted to go on a
Like that
run.
one he just walked by. Look at those big ones. He could have just...
Come on, dude. Come on, dude.
That's crazy how long it's just engaging him. Man, it's wild. You know, he might have just been thinking this guy's
Go
food
eat your babies.
to bring back to the cubs.
You're not getting me, dude.
Because he's already way past where he's just protecting
I'm
the
ready to go
cubs.
down. Yeah, get the away from
Oh, yeah, because you did it, right?
face.
The guy's trying to take credit for it.
Oh,
He
damn.
just took off, man. He had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, so that just happened. Wow. You see that? Oh, someone
Yeah,
commented.
I think I'd be doing the same thing.
Holy cow. Holy
Let's see the moment of truth here. Let's see.
I'm ready to go down. Yeah, get the away from me. Face. Oh, damn
Wow,
it.
that would be creepy as hell.
Okay.
Oh, man, that's...
Yeah, so that just happened. Wow. You see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's-
someone come actually. Holy
I
cow.
don't think he's going to be hiking anytime soon.
Holy cow. Yeah, not going back that way.
Oh, well, there you go. So
Boy,
I wouldn't be going anywhere. I mean, it's sort of like
dude.
if you ever went swimming and got bit by a shark, would you go swimming again anytime soon? Don't say, well, yeah, I would, Gray. I would, because, you know, it's really rare to get bitten by a shark, and I know the odds, so I'd be out there. You're an idiot, okay? All right, so, you know, people, if you went swimming and you got bit by a shark, you're not going swimming in the ocean again, probably for the rest of your life, okay? You might go in the water a little bit when you went to Hawaii or one of the places with, you know, but nowhere where there's anywhere near a great white or a blue shark or any of that shit. So, anyways, all right. I stayed on a little longer. You still there, JK? So I'm going to go see that spot now. Huh. Hold on a second. Huh. I just got a message that there might be some other, oh yeah, let's see. South Coyote Road. Oh yeah, that's not far away from there. Okay, so where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Oh wait. Whereas when I had to run the end of the driveway to ensure my... Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that's exactly what I was remembering. That was hilarious. Yeah, wasn't it like right around in this area? I remember that completely. Man, look at the effort Jay put out that night to send a donation. That is so cool. Yeah, it's not far away from there at all. Look, it's just right there. Well, I just got this email. Let me tell you what it says. I wanted to, this is from Erika LLoyd's aunt. Okay? So this is cool too. Maybe this will open up where maybe we can interview Erika LLoyd, her aunt too. I don't know, but well, I'll just tell you guys. Let me look into this a little bit. Yeah, don't dox yourself. Don't do it. I think I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna do the flyby in here though. It's kind of cool looking. Okay, so we've got all right. So Juju positive, Cairo, then Berserker Loci, Tracy, Lee D, Angie Hart, Fiber Sleuth, Julie W, Zozo again, Dadio Caspian Horses Rock, Sarita, Kit Kat, Laura Nelson, Cindy Leon, Dadio Caspian Horses Rock, Jen H, Kit Kat, Juju Positive again. I mean, she's really, thanks, Juju Positive. Gene Fish, Lee D, Kubi, Swerbs, Berserker Loci, and then J Case with a cat eye donation at the end there. Nice. Well, you're fortunate to be able to go out there and be able to go to such a beautiful place so close. I don't know if this is actually mapped with the really good 3D. Let's see. Maybe. Ah, who cares? We'll just do one route, one loop, I mean. I don't think I have. Let me try it. Well, it's right here. That's where I was. I don't know if I have, but that's where I am. So yes, I have. Just now.
Alright, everybody, start breakdancing. You can break to this. Whee! My wife's looking at me like I'm nuts. I mean, looking at Greg like she's nuts. Ding 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 ding. Wow, I'm getting dizzy, Gray. I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, cool. Let's get dizzy together. Yay! Wow, that was amazing! Wow, what a cool show, Gray! Thank you so much! That was the greatest show in the history of mankind!
Oh God, here we go again. Here we go again. Every single time.
What? No, I really think that was a really interesting show!
Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad you thought so. All right. Good night, Mary Lou.
Good night, John Boy?
I found this on the web.
Yes, that's my name.
What the hell was that? Your phone just turned on for no freaking reason at all! That was crazy!
Yeah, it seemed like it was, thought you were talking to it. Really weird stuff, really weird stuff. All right. Well, hey, good night, John Boy. Wait, that's me. How could you possibly say that?
No, wow. You sound like John... You sound like Biden, man. You don't even know your name?
Oh, okay, yeah. Good night, Mary Lou.
Good night, John Boy. Yay! Oh, boy.
Wow. Crazy times out there. Crazy times. All right, everybody. Thank you all for showing up. Make sure that you're washing your hands, wearing a mask, maintaining your social distancing. You know how it goes. Yeah, use some sanitizer like Jen H just said. All right. So thank you guys very much. And thank you to Heather and John for coming on and doing that interview. It was really interesting. See if we can get some more information. I like the fact that maybe I have an angle now to be talking to maybe Erika's side, just to see if we can sort of start connecting a few things here. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much. And until next time, as I always say, be safe out there. And a 2 and a 3. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, click rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is
What the heck was that?
That's a great is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector,
Freak collector, and I'm always gonna be a protector. Fool reflector, interceptor. I mean, I'm an inspector with a vector.
on his pector with all respect, ya. Just remember I've a temple fucking check ya.
I have no agenda. I'm a pretender.
And I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. Alright, everybody? Talk to you.
Alright, good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Lou.
Wow, you kind of had a high-pitched voice there.
I sure did, didn't I?
Okay, good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Lou.
Jesus.
Awesome. Yeah, I heard that. I saw that today. Isn't that amazing? Who's been saying that for a long time? Oh, Trump has. Okay. They denounced lockdowns and mass closings of the economy. They said that people shouldn't be doing that. Huh. Interesting. Of course, you won't hear about that on CNN or MSNBC because they have a mission to fulfill. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. And I'll leave the chat up for everybody. You can keep chatting for a while. All right? So, in the meantime, be safe out there.